Oh, yeah. Somebody asked me about it. Randy and I talk maybe once a week.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, that's for the time. The equipment ones. I have to go up there and talk to them. I guess I've been around Karnes County so long. All right, good morning, everybody. It's about that time. Bianca, would you please start the roll?
Morning, everyone. Starting on the roll call, Tim Andrews. Ryan Bale.
Present.
Kurt Campbell.
Here.
Andra Wilson. Debbie Farmer. Charlie Flatten.
Present.
Steve Metzler. Terrell Graham. Vic Hildebrand.
Here.
Thomas Hugman.
Here.
Aaron T.
Let's be on mine.
Jason Allerman. Andrew McBride.
Here.
Daniel Meyer. Gary Middleton.
Here.
Travis Prusky. Robert Fuente.
Donovan Burton, Robert Fuente.
Humberto Ramos. Vanessa Quigg Williams.
Present.
Roland Rui. Daryl Brownlow.
Ed Griffin for Daryl Brownlow.
Michelle Sowards.
Here.
Jonathan Stinson.
Ryan Perkins for Jonathan Stinson.
Paul Kite. Brian Kelso.
Here.
Diane Wasenick.
I'm here.
And Dan Yeltsil. That is wrong.
Ruiz.
Looks like Tim Anderson, Roland Ruiz are online.
Thank you.
Get Mr. Riggs over here.
Yes, I did.
So give us
This
a
is Debbie Farmer and I am here.
Thank you, Debbie. And Humberto looks like he joined as well.
Humberto's online. Thank you.
Did that give us a quorum?
I believe so.
All right. Item number 2 on our agenda this morning is public comment. Is there any public comment at this time? Anyone would like to say something? All right. Seeing no public comment, we're moving on to item number 3, an approval for minutes from the previous meeting of the South Central Texas Regional Water Planning Group. Do we have any adjustments to the minutes, or I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes? So moved. Second, Rick. Second. Any discussion? Since all those in favor of approving the minutes, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? No opposition, minutes are approved. Item number 4, discussion and appropriate action regarding the filling of existing vacancies and vacancies to result from future term expirations or resignations. So as a general update, Executive Committee has recently met with 2 additional candidates. We have vacancies in agricultural, environmental, small business, and recently we were notified that Mr. Scooter Mangold was stepping down, and so we also have a new vacancy in water utilities. There are a couple candidates that we have not had a chance to visit with yet as the executive committee. So at this time, we're not ready to make a recommendation on filling those vacancies. We'll probably look to do that in our August meeting. We do need to take action on instructing the consultant to put out a solicitation for the water utilities vacancy for Mr. Mangold's seat, since we had not previously solicited for that, for nominations for that seat. So I would like to seek a motion to instruct the consultant to do that this time.
So moved.
Okay. We've got motion and a second. Any discussion on
Mr. Campbell?
Yes, sir.
You said you have 4 open positions and 2 candidates. What are the 2 classifications that you're still seeking?
We have 2 open positions in agricultural, 2 open positions in small business. We have 1 well, it wasn't really an opening, but Ms. Pugh Williams is up for environmental, and she's running just 1 person for that seat. I think we have 3 nominations for the 2 seats in agricultural and 3 nominations for the 2 seats in small business.
Okay.
So that's what we're still working through, is the candidates for small business and environmental. Small business and agriculture. We haven't met with all those candidates.
Okay.
All right. Any other discussion on the motion to allow Sarah to solicit for the water utilities position? All right. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. If it passes, Avianca, will you please take that back to Sarah and have them put together a solicitation for the water utility seats?
Yes, sir.
The nominees that are out there, is there a requirement that they live within the region or they participate within the region? Is there a geographic requirement?
I think there is. So there are some requirements for each of the different positions. So depending on which interest group that you recommend, there are different requirements. I don't think in the bylaws that it actually says you have to physically live, but I think you have to prove that you like I said, the threshold is different for each position, but you have to prove that you represent the group that you're trying to represent, which I think comes with an implication that you represent that group within our region, right? But I don't think you have to live necessarily. So if you lived just outside but worked within the region and represented those people, I think you meet that criteria. And then some interest groups have more criteria that you have to have. Like, for example, if you're representing counties, you have to be nominated by the county. Usually the county commissioners have to give you a recommendation, or as a water utility or municipality, that group has to give you a nomination. So there's different levels of threshold, but you have to show that you represent that group.
All right, I think that's all I have under item number 4 at this time. So I'd look for a status report and communication from the Water Development Board. Ms. Moss?
Good morning, everybody. It's nice to see everybody and nice to see a little bit of moisture around here, getting a little greener. We've got a few updates from the board. We've got a lot of stuff going on. First slide, please. A lot of doings with regards to the draft state water plan. About 3 weeks ago today, actually, the board approved posting the initial draft state water plan for public comment and for publication of notice for a public hearing. The public comment period is currently open and will be open through May 29th. We will have a public hearing in person at the SFA building in Austin. And there is a virtual option to attend if you would like. We typically don't expect a lot of attendance at the state water plan hearings because they're just participation with regards to the IPPs and the final water plans. We have a public comment portal that is also on our website. Any comments that anyone has on the draft state water plan needs to submit those comments through that portal. And it's right on PWDB's front-facing homepage. We anticipate that the board's going to adopt the initial state water plan at the June board meeting, and the full-fledged state water plan we anticipate that's going to be adopted later on this fall. The difference between the two, in the past, it's been a really, really big push to try and get the state water plan prepared and adopted by the board for the SWIFT application and funding process. So what we did this planning cycle was prepared a skinny version of the state water plan that's about 40 pages long. And it meets all of the regulatory and statutory requirements for legislative purposes, but it's really, really heavy on data and really, really light on additional content. And the state water plan that you're going to be seeing later on this fall for adoption that we're working on wrapping up now is the 400 some odd page version that you're used to seeing that has a lot of additional content and information about various things, best practices that are going on in other regions. So next slide. Again, kind of the overview of our schedule. We've received all of the applications for grants from the poll subs. Everything was administratively complete. We are working on drafting those contracts right now. And we also anticipate during the June board meeting that the board is going to consider authorizing those contracts. And those will be in place when our fiscal year rolls over September 1st. So we'll all be ready to go. Right now, planning groups are in the process of selecting technical consultants and working on pre-planning meetings. Most everybody seems to be leaning towards October, November, early December for their pre-planning meetings for the next cycle. And then probably February or March of next year in 2027, we'll be dealing with WUG identifications, population figures, and water demand figures. Next slide. I'll roll over to the water supply and infrastructure grants. As quite a few of you may know, in addition to the $1 billion a year for 20 years associated with Proposition 4, the legislature gave us a gift via House Bill 500 of a $1 billion one-time grant for implementation of water supply, water infrastructure projects. Unfortunately, wastewater and flood projects were not included in that gift. However, if you have a tertiary treatment system for reclaiming wastewater for indirect or direct potable use, those projects are eligible for these grants. This is a one-time 100% grant. The way it was given from the legislature to the board, it was dropped straight into our general revenue fund. So we can't require entities to pay interest or pay any of these monies back to the board. So it's a 100% grant. They are prioritizing shovel-ready projects, but it's not a requirement. The criteria for scoring actually gives bonuses for entities that have a population of 150,000 or less, and for entities that have not received funding from the board at this point in time. So we would definitely encourage entities that fall into those categories to consider applying for that. We had a webinar, we were supposed to have a webinar back on, I want to say it was the 23rd. We had over 800 participants online and it crashed. So they did a recording of that and of what should have been the webinar, and that's currently up on our website. There is going to be another webinar on May 13th. There's a link to register on our website for that. And they are planning on having later on in May an additional just Q&A webinar in addition to the rolling question and answer document that we have online. So next slide. We've got applications are due at midnight on July 30th, so still plenty of time. There are grant-specific application materials on our website. They're all listed on the slide and they're all available there at the link. If you have any questions, you can ask me, you can email them directly. You can email them directly and then ask me to prod them. I'm happy to do that. But they are updating the FAQ document fairly quickly with information that comes in. The link is right there. And next slide, I think that's it.
On the grants, you mentioned shovel ready. What does that mean?
That means that if it requires permits, planning, design, land acquisition, that those activities have already been performed. Basically, you're ready to construct.
Past design, you're ready.
Past design, but you can certainly still apply and can still, depending on, there are, I want to say like 8 or 9 different criteria for the scoring. So even if you're not shovel ready, You know, you might be through design, but you're still in the permitting and land acquisition phase. If you need land acquisition, you might be in that stage, or, you know, just starting to do pilot testing.
You have to be through
You know,
that, right?
you can still certainly apply and still score very, very well and likely receive a grant.
You have to be through that by time of application, not by time of commitment or.
No, it's by the time commitments close, and that's going to be August of 2027.
So I think Vanessa had her hand up.
Yes.
I was just wondering, can you remind us aren't there separate requirements for communities that are like 150,000 or less? Or there's like, doesn't it allow for more planning money for some of the smaller communities?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? All right, that's all I have. Mm-hmm.
All right, so that takes us to item number 6 on our agenda, status reports and communication related to the regional water planning, including reports by the chair, regional liaisons, groundwater management area representatives, and members of the planning group. As for my chair update, in our last executive meeting, we discussed the RFQ process with San Antonio River Authority. And so what we are going to do is, as an executive committee, we are going to work with the San Antonio River Authority, and we are going to be the evaluation committee of the RFQs. They're planning to go to their board on June 8th to get approval for the RFQ, and then once submitted in mid June, the RFQ will be on the market for about 30 days. So sometime in mid-July, it'll be over. And then we will do the evaluation of those, whatever RFQ responses we get at that time. And hopefully the timeline allows us to bring that in front of the board with a recommendation in probably our August meeting. As part of that, we have to be sensitive to River Authority's legal obligations in their procurement process. So the executive committee will be signing the appropriate NDAs and going and making sure we're staying in compliance with the state regulations that Sarah has to follow in order to procure this RFQ for us. So thanks for the executive committee for stepping up, and a little bit more time that we get to do. And we'll bring that back in August. Yes, sir.
That process then, so in August, what I think we've done in the past is that we, as a full committee, interviewed the parties after the executive committee makes a recommendation. Is that's still what we're doing, or is that a different process?
I don't think we've ever done it as a full committee, interviewed the parties. I think there was some discussion last time about people wanting to see some of the packages, and that there is some issue with that from the legal standpoint of when somebody submits an RFQ package to Sarah, the law requires that they keep that information non-public, right? So there's not, you're supposed to, the other parties aren't supposed to be able to get access to it. So as part of what we have to do when we sign the NDAs, is that we're not going to share that information. The executive committee is going to we're going to do the interviews with the parties. So once they come in, we're going to do the interviews, and then so if there's any questions that any member has, they can share that with us. We'll make sure that we get the answers to those questions. But we'll do the interviews and then bring that back to the board as a recommendation.
I thought we had the interviews, but we closed off the room or something like that. I thought we had I know we had sort of a full committee interviews, but and then are they going to share the proposals with us? This was a big issue. I don't know who to address it to.
It was an issue last time.
Yeah.
Any member that would like to see the proposals, we would require sign the NDA, but we would release them to that member as well. I think that was dating up last time.
Everybody heard that. Basically, but if a member wanted to see the proposals, then they would be required to sign the NDA and part of, and then they can be made available.
How would that request be made?
I think it would go through, obviously, Ty.
Process.
And so we're not going to interview them like we did last time.
Plan is to not do that, yes, sir.
But if we wanted to do that,
We have to figure out how to make that work within the confines of the legal framework. I think we got a little bit out of the realm of what was allowed last time. I think that's kind of what's come to light, is that the last time it was a little bit more relaxed, and when you go back and look at what the Procurement Act, because they have to follow the state, right? So that there's some protections in there for people who put RFQs, for the people who submit RFQs, right? And so I'm not an expert on all that. We can probably get more information on that, but my understanding of that process is there's protections within that process, and we might have danced on the edge of that line last time, and I think we're trying to make sure we don't do that this time. And so we're trying not to have a wide open process where we put those people in a potential position where they're not protected by that Procurement Act.
Last time, we had to rely on professional courtesy of the respondents to not have somebody in the room because it was a posted public meeting. We have different advice from counsel from Water Development Board and our legal counsel this time. So if we'd rather not have full committee interviews. And as Kurt said, keep it to the executive committee and have questions flow from members to the executive committee. And that could be asked. But we are able to release the report with the signed, or the submissions with the signed NDAs. And so that would be a process.
So we can talk after this if there's some other, if we need to do something, make accommodation. If someone really would like to be part of the evaluation committee, we can talk about that. So just let me know. We need to look in that, dig deeper into what we can do in that Procurement Act, make sure we can accommodate. Thanks. Tim, Mr. Andrews.
Thank you, Chair. My thoughts on the matter are this: certainly don't want to violate any requirements to keep information confidential, but we have had a pattern with Regional in the past of being very open and transparent, and I don't think this is the time to change that. I think you could afford those respondents the opportunity to make a public presentation regarding their qualifications. Leave it to them to restrict the offering of information they think needs to be held confidential or proprietary. Personally, I'd be uncomfortable engaging in a vote to select a consultant for which I didn't have some basic information presented to us. Those are just my comments on that.
Thank you, Tim. Any other comments or concerns? I think Tim will try to, it's a good comment, so we'll take those and see what we can do to make sure that nobody feels like they're having to make a vote without adequate information or adequate comfort with whatever recommendation we bring forward as an executive committee. And like I said, we may do just that, what you suggest, and reach out to those, whoever is the final people that submit solicitation package, and give them the option. They may choose to do just that, come to the meeting, and they can, like I said, they can get the choice of what information they would like to share. But we just want to make sure we stay in line with the process. Thank you. Any other comments or questions on that at this time? Any other updates from any of the other regional liaisons, groundwater management area representatives?
Mr. Chair, Pam Bruce again.
I think is your hand still up, Tim, or is this you have a second question? That answers that. Thank you, Tim.
From May 13th. We're currently, as of our meeting, April 22nd, have approved a GAM run on the base of the DFC statements, and also the GMA 13 administrator has sent out the letters to the members, member districts, with their proposed DFC conditions. And we're also in the middle of our 90-day comment period. And so each district is in the midst of publishing their DFC statements and, of course, scheduling public hearings. So, and it looks like our next meeting for GMA 13 is going to be September 18th.
Thank you, sir. Any other GMA updates?
GMA 7 is in the same 90-day period. All the districts have their numbers and they're having their public hearings now. Our next meeting is at the end of September sometime.
Gillibrand? Mr. Flatten?
Yes, I can report exactly the same paper process, GMA 10, and our next meeting is Tuesday.
Sir, Mr. Andrus?
Like the other GMAs, GMA 15 has proposed an amended DFC. We are in our 90-day public comment period, and districts are undertaking the effort to schedule their public hearing. Anticipate future meetings, but the consideration of feedback from that process will likely occur in October.
Thank you, sir. And for myself as a GMA 9 rep, it's a broken record. We're kind of all in the same boat in the 90-day period. Any other representatives or regional liaisons? Present from a regional liaison, or any other member of the planning group have an update they'd like to share with us? Okay. I'll move us to item number 7, discussion of appropriate action regarding review of regional guiding principles and/or bylaws. I'd like to kind of consider this in conjunction with our next item, number 8, discussion of appropriate action regarding establishment of additional subcommittees. In the basically that we'd like to propose a subcommittee to review the guiding principles and the bylaws, and then kind of bring back some recommendations at our next meeting on do some housekeeping work with that, those documents and or anything that the subcommittee deems relevant to bring back to the committee. But we look for some volunteers to maybe staff that committee. Mr. Ramos. Mr. Ramos, I see your hand.
Maybe that's his volunteer hand.
Are you volunteering?
It needs a thumbs up.
He's muted. So.
Yeah, you're muted if you're talking, sir.
Sit. That's a strong recommendation from the thumbs up.
All right, so Mr. Ramos is on the committee.
I'll be a part of it.
Mr. Chair, are you proposing one committee for both bylaws and guiding principles, or 2 different committees?
I'll leave it open to everybody. In my brain, it was one committee for both. If somebody has
I don't recall how long or how thick it is, makes me wonder.
I mean, they're not all that long. I don't think it's a huge undertaking to take.
12 pages.
Yeah.
Chair, this is Diane Wasenick.
Yes, ma'am.
I am wondering whether we will be supported by some staff person who is familiar with all the laws that might have changed or things that we would need to comply with that are new at this subcommittee meeting. And if so, then I'm willing to serve, but I certainly don't have the expertise to know all that offhand.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, actually, part of this agenda item was with staff, was part of the recommendation was to make the subcommittee, because I think the staff has some recommendations for some housekeeping items. And so there will be staff involved with this subcommittee and will help with navigate some of those things that probably need to get changed for legal reasons, and just also things to kind of clean up where the bylaw doesn't actually match how we generally do things. So there will be staff involved with that. So I appreciate your willingness to join. That's 3 members at this time.
I'll put my hand up like Mr. Ramos.
So 4, yes, sir. Well, Michelle, what?
I'll serve as staff support.
Okay, so Michelle also.
Saws, we'll probably have Steven Siebert would be the Saws nominee.
Oh, yeah, he had already talked about it. I was expecting to be involved anyways. All right, Mr. Andrus?
Yes, Chair. I'd be happy to serve as a member of the committee as well, a member.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. All right, I think that's a pretty healthy committee. Anybody else? Like, I'm sure you got the names, Avianca? Perfect. So you can send an email out, get them coordinated so they can schedule. And thank you for everybody that volunteered for that committee. Any other subcommittee needs? I'm moving on to item number 8. If there's any other subcommittees that any member would like to see, haven't heard anybody suggest anything at this time. So we'll move on to item number 9, which is schedule and potential agenda items for our next meeting. I think we've talked about several things during this meeting that we'll be bringing back in August. That meeting is currently scheduled for August 6th. However, I have been made aware that based on the timelines of everything that has to happen this summer for the RFQ, we may look at moving that meeting into the 3rd or 4th week of August, and staff will send out updates as that timeline gets finalized. Right now, it's scheduled for August 6th, and I know we will be looking at nominations, hopefully the RFQ results, and any other items that anybody else has. So please let me know at this time.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
with everything that's coming up, potentially in July or before this meeting, some of the things we discussed earlier in the meeting you did, why don't we pick an alternative date in September just to hold? Not necessarily say we're going to meet in September. If we could get it done in August, fine. But if it needs to be postponed for a few weeks, let's pick a date so people can hold that date on their calendar, if you don't mind.
That's fair, because I need to block stuff out or it gets eaten
Yeah,
up.
I mean, it's a busy time of the year.
Well, I know the TAG D conference is the first week of September. And so I imagine a lot of people in here will be involved in that. So we probably want to avoid that first week of September. So it might be the 2nd Thursday in September. I don't know what date that is, Avianca.
Thursday the 10th.
Thursday the 10th. So unless anybody has an objection, maybe we hold that as our backup meeting date. Does anybody have an objection to that date right now? It'd be Thursday, September 10th. But just block that. Vanessa.
I've got a question. So am I correct that technically I'm not a member of the planning group because my position expired and I'm waiting for my nomination to be approved at the next meeting?
I don't know if I have a great answer to that because the bylaws are so vague on like when terms start and finish. So,
Okay.
I think we can make a case that you're technically still on, that your term, even though we've gone the 5 years, we haven't actually started the next cycle yet. So you're still on.
Okay.
could make
Yeah, I
the
mean,
case
I'm
that,
just trying to think if there was like, if I needed to somehow be involved in committee meeting or like if there's an opportunity for the members to hear from the consultants prior to the meeting where our nominations are approved, like if that would be problematic for me to be part of if I haven't officially been nominated. But maybe you're saying that's not the case.
I don't believe that's the case. I
Okay.
think, and I've talked with Kai about this over the last year, but like when terms finish, I think at this point, there's enough gray area that you're on until somebody else replaces you, which would be yourself when we nominate you in August.
I've made this very confusing, so
It
okay,
is.
thank you.
Chair,
It's on until the end of 2026.
Yeah, so the staff's confirming that technically you're on at least until the end of 2026.
Okay.
Chair, this is Diane Wasenick, and that's what we were told at the beginning of this nomination process, is that we were simply trying to get everyone in place so that by the end of the year, we would have all those positions filled, because it takes months.
Yes, ma'am. I remember that's the way I understand it. Where everybody is still on until the end of this year. And we're just taking these steps to try to get people in place before that rolls off at the end of the year. Okay, so moving on to item number 10, which is our last public comment period of the day. So is there any public comment at this time from anybody?
Yeah, hi. This is Ted Moria.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm a landowner and active in groundwater in Gonzales County, and I've spoken before to the group. I just wanted to raise concern about the just lack of representation on Region L by somebody that's from the Gonzales area or representing the interests of the family farms and the ranches that are impacted by the region plan. And there was a lot of public comment into the region plan from the Gonzales County area, and it was largely ignored. It was just dismissed. It had zero impact on the plan. And now I'm looking at what's happening now with the DFC, and there's a lot of new pumping inputs into the 13, and we're trying to get information behind those pumping inputs and what is the basis for those inputs. See the numbers in the tables, fine print, but now we're trying to understand just what's going on there, and that apparently is now an open records request in order to get that information. But looking at your minutes on agenda item 4, just pointing out you had one new nominee, which was me, and you had 7 incumbents. So you seated the 7 incumbents, but the new blood was rejected. And so I was renominated by the Gonzales County Commissioners Court with a support letter by Senator Colkhorst and also State Rep Schoolcraft. But it's really not right, I don't think, for Region L to continue to forge ahead with projects to pump water out of Gonzales County, but refusing to have a representative on Region L that can be there and be a part of the process for these projects that are impacting the county. But there's very concentrated well pumping that is going to impact areas, and desaturated cells, and it's really going to have some severe impacts. But there needs to be some representation in region. So that's my input. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment at this time? All right, seeing none, moves us to item number 11, which is our adjournments. Thank you, everybody, for coming today.